Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so a few things on my mind NBA wise. Shout out Javon Carter, the Milwaukee Bucks, for just taking advantage of minutes given and showing what patience really is when you stay ready. Numbers called and you show what you can do. He's a perfect example of that. In my mind, one of the most improved players in the NBA this season. Playing for a Milwaukee Bucks team. Putting up all kinds of numbers, just doing a lot of great things with the minutes. And, he's one of those guys who had probably gotten lost in his career as a guy who's probably labeled a role player or something of that nature. But when you know what you can do, you just stay ready, you keep working your habits, and when their numbers called and those minutes come your way, you're able to prove it right then and there. And that's exactly what he's doing. I look at him differently now. You know what I mean? As a player who has to be considered someone who's going to help provide some strength to a Milwaukee Bucks team that's already a real contender in my mind. So that needs to be understood early and often. That Javon Carter's putting up some really, really, really eye-opening numbers for the first time. I think. I became aware of his upside in the finals 2 years back with the Bucks. I believe he was with the Bucks when I found out about his game, and he was someone that they were saying was a defender. That's where he really makes his money. He attacks you on the defensive side. So I wasn't aware at all. But at that point, I became aware. I'm like, all right, that's somebody you got to watch out for the defensive side of the ball. This starts this season, and now I'm seeing that he can do a lot more than that. So it's like, okay, this is somebody who's developing really well. And so needs to be taken very seriously. So shout out to Javon Carter, man, of the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, what else is on my mind? Ben Simmons, of course. We're listening to the outlets who are talking. The word of the day is that the Brooklyn Nets are becoming just concerned with Ben Simmons' passion, I guess you can say, and his level of intensity and love for the game or what have you. I just look at that situation and say, if you follow me, I have a support for Ben Simmons here. I look at his mental health situation from the beginning as something to take seriously. I always looked at the parallel between him having issues not being able to shoot the ball and his claims of having mental health concerns as parallels and evidence of his claims being real, right? Immediately off jump, I didn't think twice about it. And because I have mental health issues of my own, especially during the time when he was going through that, I was in a space where I was really trying to come out of it and was struggling with that at the time. So it became very personal to me when I started listening to the stories about what it is that was going on around him, seeing how people were reacting to what he was saying about him having those issues. And I just didn't think that he was given a fair shot in those circumstances. Now, granted, his personality lended itself to being easy to root against. He was someone who tended to be arrogant in his way, unapologetic. Kind of seemed like he kind of dismissed others and things of that nature. But in my mind, the way I equate those type of things is defensive mechanisms and sometimes signs that you've been led astray, maybe by some. I looked at certain things that I was looking at in his behavior. I said that was probably either put there or a reaction to something that was done that wasn't right to him or something like that. So it's like a lot of times people put up these different things that defend them that ultimately don't put out the right energy, but they do it because they've gone through some things that otherwise make them that way. So I don't make any excuses for any man or anyone, and I think everybody's a reflection of the life that the world has come at them over the years. But at the end of the day, when I look at Ben Simmons, I just think, well, he's an athlete who's been considered a high-level athlete since he was a young man, very young kid. So he was probably given a lot, and he was in Australia, a high-level athlete. So I don't really know how that equates. He's not American, so it's like I don't know what his upbringing was like, but I do know that he's dealing with his circumstances in a way that's not allowing him to perform properly on the court. And then you start hearing about the back issue, which I think could have been a separate issue, but probably was tied together with his mental health as well. A lot of times I've learned that when your mind ain't right and you're dealing with a lot of stress, and you try to do strenuous activities, you can tend to hurt yourself or even make those injuries more so than they otherwise would when you're unhappy. So I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I have seen that correlation in my own life. So as I look at his situation and I look at how they're looking at him now, I just say, okay, he's done the work, but I still believe he came back too soon. He probably should have set out yet another season to continue to work on his mental health. and to continue to work on his conditioning, especially since he's coming back from a back injury and he's coming into a situation like the Brooklyn Nets and all that comes with it. And to understand all that come with it may be also to understand why he doesn't seem so motivated right now. You know, we want players to manifest motivation. Do we ask the same of ourselves when we're in situations that are not very motivating? I don't know if we apply those same things to people. And just because they're making a certain amount of money doesn't mean they can manifest a desire that isn't there based on an environment that isn't desirable to be in. I look at that Brooklyn Nets situation as a dumpster fire that is getting worse as time progresses in different areas. Like you think of a dumpster fire as just a fire in the dumpster, but picture the dumpster having different little fires all around the dumpster in different areas, making it more difficult to put that fire out. The dumpster on the far end is burning, the far left is burning, the top is burning, the bottom. It's not just condensed in one spot. That's what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets. They got the Kyrie Irving, they got KD who wants out, they got Ben Simmons back, you got all kinds of different stuff with the roster that ain't in place. They have no picks, they got the New York Knicks on the left side of them. It's a lot. And they're focused on the wrong things, it seems, and not being run properly. And it's looked throughout the process of all these little stressful things that they found themselves in, that they haven't been able to do anything proper for themselves in regards to the roster because of it. If they had not so many scandals going on and not so many things they're trying to undo, like the James Harden debacle, which turned into the Ben Simmons debacle, the Kyrie situations, both of them, and how the owner is handling it, it's just all wrong. All of it is not good for Ben Simmons, who's in that environment, who's being asked to be somebody he used to be, of whom was a damaged person, as he's very well told us. And now they're asking him to come back, be that person, and be in shape, as to which he's coming back from a back issue. Even if his mind is right, his back is hurt. So if he's running around only giving you 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, it's because he's only playing partially healthy. It's kind of hard to be motivated when you're in pain. And you're in a situation that's not very motivating, and you're losing. And you got mental health issues that you haven't fully healed from, even though you're acting like you are because you're trying to hurry up and get back out there. As to what you're going into a pressure situation, trying to adhere to pressure, only to be having more pressure applied because it's Brooklyn and they expect to win even though they don't have enough. So it's like, where is he supposed to be motivated? It's not like he's in a situation that he's got a bunch of stability around, a bunch of high fly acts running around, a role that fits his game, which is also a huge variable when you're considering Ben Simmons. So it's like, he doesn't fit everywhere to begin with, without all those other things that we mentioned. So it's like, for me, it's just like, okay, without all these problems, he's a very unique piece to try to fit into any situation. That's always been my thing. I thought he needed a blank canvas of a team to use him as some piece to build around so that he could function properly. If you give him a system that's catered to that, and you put the right pieces around him, well, he's one of the best orchestrators in the world. But you have to put those things in place, and then he has to be in shape, right? So it's all this stuff that has to work in his favor. It's not as simple as him getting in shape or getting back on the court or getting his mind right. It's so many different things for Ben Simmons that has to align. The solution for him is to become a better shooter so that that is not the case. That's it. That's the variable. He has to be able to fit in better situations naturally so that he's not as hard of a piece to fit in, so that all this other stuff isn't such a glaring problem. It ends and begins with shooting for Ben Simmons, because that's how people equate whether or not they're willing to take a chance on putting him in their system and whether or not he'll fit. It's because of this modern era that we're in that's all about shooting the damn ball, which I think is scurred in a sense because a guy like Ben Simmons at his best is going to draw a lot of fouls, get shooters off the floor, get other guys involved, and get shooters the ball on his team. So it's a lot of different things that he affects in a positive way that will allow your team to see lots of success. But it's a lot of things that have to be in place in order for that to be the case. And if he's just thrown into any old situation, half healthy and not fully healed, then you're going to get 6, 6, and 6. That's it. He's fighting injury, and he's also asked to take on defensive assignments because he's considered the best defender in the world, or one of them rather. But he's also not fully healthy, and you need to be able to have your body physically aligned with your intentions so that you can react, because defense is a reactionary game. You got to be able to read, react, and move instantaneously and have strength, because he's a big person, so he's asked to guard the Giannis's and the Paulos and all these guys. With a bad back, bad mind, 2 years removed from the game, rusty. Not only rusty, but you've changed because you've had to go through the mental stuff. So it's like, man, what are y'all asking of this man? What are you asking of this man? I feel like I'm literally the only human being that's speaking some sense to the situation. You're asking someone who's dealing with something to be in a pressure situation where they're expected to win when they don't have enough to win, and they got all that going against them on top of that. It's like, boy, this has no way of winning. This has no way of succeeding. The only way it's going to succeed is if the Nets do what they're supposed to do, which is blow the damn thing up, get rid of all them damn superstars that have a win now mentality, and leave yourself with Ben Simmons and a bunch of shooters in place that you can build around Ben Simmons so he can be the defensive facilitating superstar that he's meant to be. Problem is, logically thinking, if I'm building a franchise, I am definitely not building around that piece. I am not. I'm saying that's what needs to happen for him to succeed. Who the hell's going to do that? When he has a bad back, bad mind, doesn't shoot, blah, blah, blah. It's just not realistic. None of this is realistic. Ben Simmons must get better at shooting the ball, and he must get in the type of shape that he was in when he had first come back from that foot injury and was buff as hell. Or actually, it was before the foot injury, I think it was. He was super buff, highly athletic, and basically could do anything on the basketball floor. That's the shape he needs to be in to perform the way that y'all want him to. He ain't in that shape. Look at his body. Is he in that muscular? Does he have that type of definition in his shape right now? He's not in that type of shape. So how are you going to get that type of production? These are things that the media does not even think about. They don't talk about that kind of stuff. It's like, well, he's him, so he's coming back. He's healthy. No, idiot. He's got to get in shape. It's called conditioning. It's called 82-game schedule plus being beat up on by heavy people in his case. So why would you think he's coming back being his old self? How would he be able to do that if he's coming back from injury? Logically, we're talking about a human body here, not a machine. Even though a lot of times when they look at us, and I mean us as in black folks, they think we're machines. They think, oh, you can just look at Giannis. He could just look at his leg bend all the way back. Of course, he's immortal. But no, honestly, no. Conditioning has a lot to do with why these guys can do what they do, not just genetics. So you sit up here, like I was listening to him talk about Joe Harris. I was the first person that said the Brooklyn Nets need to trade Joe Harris before he got back on the court. Why? Because of this dynamic. Conditioning. When you're trying to trade somebody, you want them to look their best. How in the heck can they look their best if they're not in their best shape? How can they get in their best shape if they don't take the time to get in that shape? That time is them looking bad for a couple weeks. You got to have that in your mind. When he comes back, he's going to look bad because he's coming back from injury. And there may be setbacks that will keep him looking bad. If those setbacks do occur, you got to be ready for that too. And so what you do, if you're the coach, is you position their minutes to make that make sense, which I think the Nets have been doing, which is why I think his numbers are 6, 6, and 6, because they ain't really giving him the minutes. And it makes sense because he ain't in that type of shape. But what Ben needs to continue to have happen is he needs to continue to use those minutes to display what it is that he's good at and continue to get in where he fits in. And on his free time, attack the demon that keeps him from shooting the basketball, because it will keep your career from going as far as you want it to go from here. If you can't become someone who can splash a couple trays here and there, there's no way people are going to be able to fit you into whatever it is that you want to be a part of. Even if you're at your best, no one's going to take that chance after these injuries. You got to get better shooting, period. I don't give a damn what it takes. Get your mind in a space where shooting the ball is something you're willing to do. And if not, retire. Like the rest of these people are saying, retire. Because if you're looking for a situation where you're going to fit in the NBA this way, under these circumstances, there is no good fit. You got to change in order for you to fit. Just like Russell Westbrook's learning. Can't wait for the best opportunity to come. You got to get better now, here, in order to find yourself in a situation that's meant for you. You ain't going to be able to play bad here, pout, and get what you need. Russell has come to understand that. Now we got everything in rolling. His future's looking bright. He's going to find his way through the league because of how he's been playing for the last couple of weeks. But it came first with him understanding what needed to be done. First thing Ben Simmons needs to do is the same thing I said he needed to do last time I had this conversation. Step away from the game right now. You are 26 years old? You can play at 30. you can play at 32, but you have to take the time. And I don't think it's going to take that long, but I'm saying you got to take however long it takes to get your mind into a space where you're ready to be what it is that they're asking you to be. You trying to be that without you being ready for that is why these results are as they is why they're able to talk the way they do. I hear people saying, oh, he's all about the money. False. He's already proven he ain't all about the money. He was giving money back all last season. I ain't forgot. And neither should you. He ain't all about the money. There's more to it than being. He wants to be out there. And if he's having trouble motivating himself, it's probably has something to do with the mental health stuff. He needs more work. People are like, oh, he's not motivated. Mental health. Oh, he doesn't look like he's in it. Mental health. Oh, some days he got some mental health. This is why he needs more time. So that's the answer to all of this. So we don't believe in him. Mental health. You're applying pressure, making it worse. And see, that's the thing. It's like he's in an environment where Joe Tsai is running things. You see how Joe Tsai is handling these players. That's the worst environment for a guy like Ben Simmons, where people are looking to make you comply regardless of whether or not you're inspired. That's what Joe Tsai has been applying. That's what Sean Marks has been applying. Why would that be a good environment for somebody who has a broken mind and a hurt back? It would not be. It simply would not be. So we got to start applying environmental logic as it pertains to what's going on around Ben that would inspire Ben to feel whatever or not feel whatever, or heal or not heal. Do you think he would feel the same way if he were in a better environment? I don't. I really don't. I think if you get him out of that toxic Brooklyn nonsense and you place him into a situation where he can feel at home, whatever that is, one of them 30 teams, you'll see Ben Simmons come back around probably within 3-4 months. He'll get in shape. He'll start doing the things that he does comfortably. And then from there, hopefully, he can continue to do the work on his mind so he can start becoming a shooter. If it doesn't work, then it just doesn't work. What can I say? But I know what definitely doesn't work is everything that they're doing in Brooklyn and everything that's being applied to him in regards to the pressure. And, oh, we don't believe in you. Like, that's going to get him to say, okay, well, damn it, let me go out there and do the 20-20-20 game like Russell did when Nipsey passed. Like, he's not going to be able to manifest that from the media using their 89 platforms to tell everybody that the Nets don't believe in him. See, this is what I'm talking about. They always find a way to use 100 platforms to tell us something that just happens to bring a black man to a lowest point. This is a theme that we're continuing to see all the time. Anyway, so, yeah, here's another Brooklyn Nets conversation that isn't about them playing well or them winning games or something. It's just like, between the Lakers and the Nets, they know how to provide plenty to talk about without actually providing anything on the basketball court. Teams are trash. You got everything to talk about. They put people together for the wrong reasons. Got players slapped together that don't fit with each other. And it's like a crash and burn scene that provides so much glory for the franchise in terms of marketing dollars. And I think I'm starting to wonder if that is actually by design. Instead of being in no man's land, these teams are saying, let's just do everything wrong. And it gives us the exact same effect as doing everything right as it pertains to how many people are talking about us. I think that might be what the Brooklyn Nets and the Lakers have been engaging in. I really do. When I look at people and say incompetence, and then I look at people making money, I'm like, those two things don't go together. I think people are deliberately doing things a certain way so that they're getting a certain result. And if that way looks incompetent, that might actually be what they're intending to do. And so as I look and I think and I speculate and I look around, I'm just like, look, the fans suffer for all of it. Whether people are stupid or doing things the wrong way purposefully, either way, we're the ones that have to pay the money. We're the ones that have to root for these teams that are no good. And that's the bottom line. So as a Laker fan, for Brooklyn Nets fans, I say we want our teams blown up. We want rookies. We want to have the first pick in the draft in the 2026, 2027 drafts. That's what we want. We don't want these old guys no more. I can't speak for Brooklyn. Maybe they're very happy with Kevin Durant. But me, I'm cool, man. I don't know about this putting young guys on the backside of the situation and then putting the older guys up in front and saying, yo, we're building around them. That just does not add up in this era. Now, if every other team was doing that, you know what I'm saying, then of course that's okay. As to, you would need to move them kids out because it's experience that's taking precedent. But not in an era where everybody's core is the average of 22 years old, 23 years old, no. And we're building around somebody that's my age? Man, I was born in 84. Nah, hell nah. So that's where I'm at with that. Lakers need to get their head together. The Nets definitely need to do the same. And that is the end of it. That's literally the end of it. As far as Ben Simmons is concerned, I think you should step away from the game for a little bit, man. Step absolutely away, just like you did the first time. Take a leave of absence, give everybody the finger for a little while, and get your mind right. Continue to work on what it is that makes you happy. And maybe you'll find out you don't even want to be in this anymore. Maybe you've played basketball. You know what I mean? I think for those who are passionate about the sport, it's like, yeah, I want to keep doing this. It's my thing. I love it. But once you go through what Ben's been through, and once you go through what Kyrie's been through, once you start having them play with you the way that they're playing with them, it's like, what is this really fun anymore? Are we enjoying ourselves? Is this still the dream? Or is the business of basketball taking the life and the fun out of the game? Now look and I say, damn it, those guys both play for the same team. They both play for the same team. They're both in that same toxic, trash-ass environment. I think the NBA should take a long, hard look at the Brooklyn Nets, because that environment is creating a whole lot that isn't good in different ways. I don't care how you slice it. They put all these people together. Period. And they're all having these issues there. And it's starting to become a thing every single day. It's something new in regards to the Nets. They involve themselves in parts of scandals they don't even have no business involving themselves in. How the hell did you find yourself in the Udoka scandal? You want to hire Udoka in the middle of the scandal? This is what I'm talking about. They want to put people together for no business. They had no business doing that. Luckily enough, someone helped them understand that was not the right move. But like, these are the type of things like, and you got Ben Simmons sitting there saying, I'm trying to heal from mental health stuff. And this is what they're doing to him. It's like, come on, man. Come on, man. We, as consumers, need to look at this stuff a bit differently so that we can start becoming more knowledgeable as to what damage is actually being done. Okay? Because while we're sitting here entertained, these guys are doing more and more damage. And then when unprecedented things happen, we're like, how did it happen? Why did this thing that we've never seen before get this extreme in this way? It's because we allow people to continue to press buttons that they know they should not be pressing with the minds of people they have no business doing that with. Man said he's sick. Don't put him in a sick environment that is pressurized and all of this. You say he says he needs support. You don't put him in a situation where it's this kind of thing. You know? Like all these people. I even mentioned Joe Harris in this. He plays for that team too. It's craziness. These are all isolated issues that just so happen to be connected by the same freaking owner. And so Josiah, man, I'm telling you, bro. All the sensitivity training you saying people need, I'm telling you. The only person who really looks that way right now is you, sir, because you do not appear to know how to create an environment that isn't absolutely stressful for all of these people, man. All of these people that I've mentioned. You're in control of making things a little better or a little worse for them. All of them. Joe Harris, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Durant, all of them. So at some point in time, we got to look at him and say, man, why are you connected to all these issues? Why is it that everybody is so unhappy in your situation? And then when I look at you, you're not talking about the situation. You're talking about your disappointment with stuff that has nothing to do with the results of your team not being any good. Brooklyn Nets fans are not angry enough, in my opinion. They're settling. Some of them maybe even drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking that Kyrie's the bad guy or some weird stuff. No, man, no. Your team is being run the wrong way. Deeper than that. And your team is going to suffer for a long time because of it. And if I were a Nets fan, I'd already been through that the entire time. You know, this is not like this is a glory franchise. They have yet to experience the glory that they are deserving of. And this is what they inherit when they finally move a team to Brooklyn. Unacceptable. Biggie deserved better. The whole Brooklyn area deserved better. This ain't it. Jigga and them, they deserve better, man. I'm not feeling none of that. You know, I represent LA, but I know what New York means to our country. I know what they mean to the culture. I know what they mean to the sport. And the way that the Brooklyn Nets are being run, it's a disgrace to the tri-state area. Disgrace. And we've been able to say that about the Knicks for a while. But the Nets, they are doing that right now. They are doing that right now. And I'm going to say this. Kevin Durant should not have to tell us he wants out of there right now. Okay? He should not have to tell us, please give me a trade request. That is understood when you look at that nonsense over there. So do not treat him like he's in a good spot and wants to stay there just because he's complied with Joe Tsai in retracting his demand of a trade. Because we know that's how he gets down. It don't necessarily mean that you actually were inspired to change your mind when dealing with that man. No. You complied because he applied pressure and you was going to do that. So that's what happened to KD, obviously. He needs to be freed from that situation. He's playing excellent basketball on both sides of the floor. He's an MVP candidate, and he has absolutely no chance of winning the basketball games that he's a part of every night. I know people don't like Kevin Durant. They called him all kinds of names in OKC. They called him all kinds of stuff in Golden State or whatever. He's done things with the burner accounts. He's lashed back at people who've defended him. A lot of this energy that he may be getting back in the form of this circumstance might actually have been welcomed. He might have welcomed all this into his world. But what I'm telling you is, this is garbage. And as a fan of basketball who knows that's one of the most elite talents to ever play the game, I selfishly don't want him in that situation. Independent of what he thinks of himself. Even if he's happy in New York and wants to be there, I don't want one of the elite basketball players to finish his career playing for Joe Tsai. I do not. No, selfishly. I'm a fan. I don't want that. I'd rather see him at home in Washington playing with Kyle Kuzma than to play up there in that garbage right now. I kid you not. Even if he ain't the man in the trade. On his behalf, this fan is asking that the Brooklyn Nets trade Kevin Durant. Since you've muzzled him and made it so that he doesn't want to say it, I'll say it for him. Get him the hell out of there. Free KD. Because y'all know you ain't doing right by that man. You can't move Ben Simmons. Kyrie Irving's going to be out of there in 5 minutes. God's already assured that. So at this point, I ain't worried about Kyrie. Yeah, all that stuff is like, Kyrie's situation is going to be as it is. As long as he don't do nothing, he's got right on his side. But KD seems like he bound. Seems like they got KD by the good ones. And whatever he was on 3 months ago, supposedly he ain't on anymore, even though the evidence of the situation being as bad as it needs to be for him to want to be gone is present. But he's quiet, he's cool, he's being diplomatic. And he's screaming from behind his eyes, get me the hell out of here. And I can hear him clearly. Get him the hell out of there, please. That's what I got to say, man. Free KD. This is getting ridiculous. I would say free Bron, but Bron had his freedom. He stole it. He gave it away. He didn't want it. I wouldn't feel no differently about Bron. I wouldn't, but his situation is different. We were trying to get a trade going. He was able to give us leverage by signing in. Circumstances changed to where that trade that we were going after probably ain't now being possible. So now maybe he didn't make the right decision based on the calculations he had. He gave up his freedom. Probably shouldn't have did it, but he did it as a favor to us. So how am I going to condemn him for it? I don't know. It's a simultaneous thing. It helped him, it helped us. What can we do? Now we all want to undo it. Can't free Bron. But KD can be freed. This is the beginning of a long contract. He does not need to see this thing through. Joe Tsai and all the different things he's looking at. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Before they realize they need to rebuild, they're going to waste at least 2 of his years. No, get him out of there. Get him out of there. He's too much of a professional, and he's going through too much over the last 3 months to request a trade again. But that man needs to be freed from that nonsense. I kid you not. So that's what I got to say about that, man. Hopefully Ben Simmons can find himself as the last man standing in Brooklyn so they can just put shooters around him and let him run free to get in shape and become the player that I know he can become. I don't know how realistic it is, but being that Joe Tsai's the owner, he don't know nothing about basketball. Maybe that's possible. Kid you not. You don't know a damn thing about basketball, because if he did, he would have never done half the things that he did, and he certainly wouldn't keep Sean Marks in place. That man would have been fired a long time ago. Sean Marks needs to be fired, in case I haven't made that clear. He needs to be fired. Like now. Like right now. All the stuff that he's been doing in regards to this Kyrie situation alone. For that alone, he needs to be fired. Let's make that very clear. So that's what I got to say, man. That's my little Brooklyn Nets, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving conversation. It's probably about the 30th one I've made in the last 3 months. To be honest with you, I talk about them as much as I talk about my Lakers. But that's because we're both doing things the wrong way. And the only two teams left doing things that way, to be honest with you. At least the other two teams that mortgaged their futures had young cores to make it make sense. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. At the very least, they got two of the best young guards over the next several years while they don't have their picks. Minnesota. Hate what Minnesota did. But they have Anthony Edwards and Karl Towns in place to justify it. The Nets? No justification for that garbage, what they did. That's just one mistake undoing another mistake, undoing another mistake with another mistake. That's all the Nets are. Lakers, same thing. One mistake begets another mistake. Undoing that mistakes begets more mistakes. Same people in place making them decisions. It's just more mistakes getting ready to be made. Same people, of course. And this is what it is, man. I just want to see a little common sense enacted in some of these big markets, man. Some of these owners that own these teams in Utah and in Indiana, y'all should have the big market teams. You run your things better than the big market owners. They don't know what the heck they seem to be doing, apparently. They don't know what they're doing. We need the small market owner mindset in these big market places. That's what you need. And the NBA has to find a way to create that possibility so that can just kind of happen. You know, they need competence in these areas, man. I'm sorry. They need this. So that's what I got to say. That is my thoughts, man. Y'all can keep on watching NBA champions popping up in Detroit and Houston and Orlando over the next 10 years if you want. But the NBA's ratings will likely suffer because of it. So they better get these Lakers, these Brooklyn Nets, and the Knicks, and all these different big market teams. They had better find a way to get them running properly. The whole team, the whole league suffers when they don't. That's what I got to say, man. My name is BDF44. Thank you all for watching.